How high is the death toll in Gaza really? The numbers released by the Hamas-run Ministry of Health have been dismissed by the Israeli government as being exaggerated. But recent research suggests that it might be the opposite. A new study from the University of London researcher Michael Spagat finds that between October 7th, 2023 and January 5th, 2025, some 75,200 Palestinians in Gaza died a violent death as a direct result of the war. This figure is about 40% higher than the one reported by Gaza's Ministry of Health for the same period at 45,650 deaths. The ministry says 58,000 Palestinians have been killed since October 2023, but extrapolating numbers from the research puts the current Gaza death toll at over 100,000 people. Now, Michael Spagat is a professor of economics and researcher of armed conflict at the University of London. He has led a study analyzing war-related deaths in Gaza, and he joins us now to tell us more. You recently released this study, which says that the overall number of Palestinians killed since the war in Gaza broke out back in 2023 is actually far higher than the estimates from the Hamas-run Gaza Ministry of Health. What's the top takeaway from this study?
I would say that there are three. First, you just said it, that the Ministry of Health is not undercounting the number of deaths. We found a substantially larger number of deaths than the numbers from the Ministry of Health. On the other hand, we find that the demographics put out by the Ministry of Health are broadly accurate. That is the percentage of women, children, and elderly, which we found to be around 56%. And third, we've got the first ever estimate of nonviolent deaths in the war. And if you take that estimate and subtract off the number of deaths that you would expect to have occurred without the war, we get about 8,500 nonviolent excess deaths, that is above baseline number of deaths.
So then, I mean, the Hamas-run Gaza Ministry of Health, it says that the number of those killed in Gaza is over 58,000. Your study estimates it's more than 75,000. Their figures have been generally accepted as relatively accurate in the past. Why might their estimates be much lower than the reality?
Because they're trying to capture deaths one by one. If you look at the information that they put out, it's a list. It lists individual people killed, and it's not really possible to capture every single death one by one in the chaotic environment of war. They're doing, I think, a remarkable job capturing what they are able to capture and to put it out with a degree of transparency that they've been putting out. But I think it's just not possible in real time to capture everything.
Israel claims at least 20,000 of those killed are Hamas operatives in Gaza. Can you verify that?
No, I can't verify that. We don't have a question on our survey that asks whether people were civilians or combatants. What I would say is that Israel has never really provided any evidence to back up that figure. It's just kind of a number that they put out there. Now, they may have behind the scenes some evidence, but if so, I would like to see it. So I'm skeptical of that number. But based on our survey, we can't really address that issue directly.
How exactly did you arrive at your numbers?
So it's a survey, the same kind of idea as a public opinion survey. We selected a random sample from the population, and then we administer a questionnaire to each household in that sample that asks the respondent to list every single person in the household who was alive as of October 6, 2023, and then to say what's happened to each one of those, including if they're alive or dead, and if dead, was it a violent death or a nonviolent death? And, the idea, again, is the same as in a public opinion survey. If, for example, 2% of the population within the survey has been killed, then we estimate that 2% of the total population that the survey is representing have been killed.
You have studied the human cost of many conflicts around the world. What stands out to you about this one in particular?
So the first thing I would say is simply the percentage of the population, the very high percentage of the population killed within a very short period of time. You can find plenty of wars in the 20th, or at least some wars in the 21st century, where there have been more people killed. For example, in the Ukraine-Russia war, there have definitely been more people killed, but those are big countries with big populations, and Gaza is a very small place with a small population. So that percentage killed, which I think is now up around 4%, is really high, and especially for such a short period of time.
Thank you for telling us a little bit more about your work and your study. Michael Spagat, professor of economics and researcher of armed conflict from the University of London. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.